Ruth Usman, and it's 11 minutes into the 1 o'clock hour. How are you doing? How are you enjoying the weekend? Is it as sunny as I know and see that it is? Trust me, I came in under the sun. But it's all chilly right here in the studio, I must say. All right, so if you are listening to me perhaps from under the sun, right directly inside the sun, and you just have to do some sort of work, and you're wondering why is she being insensitive? I am not being insensitive. I'm just saying that once upon a time I was under the sun, but right now it is very chilly in the studio. All right, just keep working. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. When you're done, you will get back to having a wonderful time with yourself. Mm-hmm. We all have to do something at some point in time, and then we get back to some other things would, that would be a lot better on our skin. But thank God it's another day, and looks like it's a good day so far. And hey, it is time for us to talk some environmental matters right here on Ray. Remember, the program is Rights of Animals and Environmental Protection. On this program, we focus on the direct relationship and repercussions of our actions toward animals, toward environment, and how it affects us directly, for good or for bad. Most times lately, what we do always affect us negatively, and that's why we need to pay attention to this, to know exactly just how to take care of ourselves, how to do things on the environment, on animals, with more care. Yeah, with more care, because sometimes we don't really get to see just how our activities directly affect us. I mean, our activities toward this immediate environment of ours, or on the animals that we always come in contact with. So today it will be basically about the environment, okay? And we're going to do this a little later. I'm sure you will call in and tell me what things, what areas perhaps some people are carrying out a bad habit of waste disposal, perhaps. And especially now that the rains are here. So we know what we would just want to avoid: floods. We don't want floods this time. And if you never knew, well, my activity, your activities can directly be responsible for why there could be flood in some areas. Yes, no matter how little it is, trust me. I'm smiling because I saw something today on my way to work, and it was just an indication of those things that we do, and we think it doesn't add to anything, it doesn't affect anything, but it does at the end of the day. Everything adds up. That's just it. At the end of the day. Well, today we will look at when we talk about environmental protection, it's basically the practice of protecting individual or organizational or governmental, you know at such levels, how we tend to intentionally protect the environment by the things we do. So I need to take it up on myself as an individual, as a group, whether it's a governmental organization or any other kind of organization. We need to have that sense of responsibility and know that our actions or inactions can go a long way to ensure, the how do I put it now, to ensure the long life. Let's for lack of a better word, let's go with that, to ensure that the environment actually is sustained. Okay, so what do you do? What are those things that you do? As we always say, I mean, there's a lot of pressure, either from population keeps increasing. hmm Technology, and as a result, biophysical environment is always being degraded because of such activities. Now, sometimes this degradation is a permanent thing, and in some other cases, well, if you're fortunate, it could be reversible. But do we even know what these practices are in the first place? What are these things that we do that can directly affect the environment, and then it can also have adverse effect on us humans that are living in this, um, you know, in this particular environment? So we need to place some restraints when it comes to some of these activities that we carry out. It is true that we've come of age. I mean, this is a technological era and all that. So many things are done differently And because of that, we tend to not focus on the negative side of these things, because we tend to just focus on how these technological advancements improve in our lives. So, environmental protection is influenced primarily by three interwoven factors. That is, when we talk about environmental legislation and education, is another one. Okay, so when we talk about legislation, this is when many of us will say, "Oh, government need to do this. Government need to put this in place. They need to do this and that." Well, it is true that even as much as we are trying to narrow it down to the little things that you and I can do as individuals, we cannot shy away from the fact that government has a very, very important role to play when it comes to this. Okay, so whether it's on a state level, local level, or a national level, there has to be major decisions. There has to be, this laws that would be put in place to ensure that you and I, yeah, can put hands together, and there can be that synergy, so that I know I'm trying my best in my house, you're trying your best in your house, and at the end of the day, everybody comes out and we have a better environment that would not just, be good for the environment, but it will also be good to us. Because what will happen, imagine if the environment is totally destroyed by us. Oh, yeah, we thrive on the environment. What happens when the air is overly polluted, water is polluted? I mean, air, water, then we're as good as gone, dead and gone, really. But these are the realities. Our activities affect these very, very important aspects of our lives: air, water. Our activities can directly pollute these, and when such happens, you don't want to know what's going to happen. Now, there are so many things we can do. I came across something, and some of the ideas, well, I actually smiled at one, but then I realized that it is so true. Most times, you just imagine this. For instance, let's talk about water now, the way many of us use water. It is true that there are many parts, even in the FCT here, where people are buying water. So I don't imagine people in those areas. If you live in a house where you're buying water, I doubt if you would waste water. It usually hardly happens. That's when you see people mising water. You use it to rinse your clothes, perhaps. You keep it by the side, especially when it's not, very dirty like that. You just rinse, not the one you really wash with the dirty water. No, that one you rinse, and it's a bit, it's somehow whitish kind of then. Oh yeah, I've done it before. That's why I'm describing it like that. You keep it aside and then you use it to flush. Oh yeah, these are the things that happen in a place where there isn't enough water, and people are ensuring that they use it judiciously. I'm not saying that that's the best water to use to flush, but then because you have found yourself in such a situation, then you are thinking of ways to preserve water. So if you live now in an area where there's water board, or even if it's borehole, you know that each time you come and you turn the tap, the water comes out. Sometimes you just open it and you go someplace to go and pick something, instead of just, turn it off. Go pick up what you want to pick up and come back. That, instead you just see people leave it open and like, no, I just want to pick something here. And before you go and come back, do you know the amount of water that you've wasted? Oh yeah, part of protecting the environment also involves us not wasting water. I mean, if we're just going to focus on the fact that there are so many other people who do not have access to water, then you would appreciate the fact that you just, switch on the tap and water comes out. You will really appreciate every single drop of it. But if you grew up, okay, in a place where there's always water, whether borehole, whether I'm not even talking about water from the well here, borehole, or the water board, you really not know that there are people even in the same state, even in the same country as you are, that don't have that luxury. So let's learn to save water. In what ways can we save water now? We don't want our waters to be contaminated in the first place. There are many of our activities, okay, that can even bring about the pollution of water. Let's not even talk about the factories. I give you one example now. if you use a lot of fertilizer, let's assume you have flowers, you have lawn, this grass in your compound, in your house. It looks so beautiful, and you come to water it all the time, and you use a lot of fertilizer in it. Well, studies have proven that as you water this, water overflows, it finds its way somewhere, somehow, and it all ends up in the nearest stream, in the nearest river. And just imagine the number of people who would be engaging in the same activity. I mean, you're putting that fertilizer because you want your flowers to look healthy, you want your lawn to look all green and natural. Yeah, it will, but then too much of it, that's what it does again. At the end of the day, it's, trickles down and is being drained into the larger body of water, and that becomes another source of contamination. Now, that aside, still talking water and how we can ensure that we don't waste it. This is the one I said I came across, and I was actually thinking, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's like, okay, when you're washing your car, do not use a hose to wash your car. Use the water in a bucket. And you're raising your eyebrow now, wondering, Ruth, what are you talking about? Yes, I'm saying put water in the bucket and wash your car. Don't use the hose. And then drop it on the floor. The water will be running while you're scrubbing and doing all sorts of cleaning on the car. That water in the hose is just running out and rushing to God knows where, because you're washing one car. And then we're going to use how many liters of water? Okay, so here's the deal. Nobody hates you, nobody wants you to suffer by saying that you should use buckets. We're trying to save water. Okay, now if you can do this, if you can still use the hose, but then just know that while washing, you turn it off so that the water is not pouring just like that. Because actually, what is said is that you can only use the hose to rinse, that way the force of the water and all that, yes, you will need that to help you, bring down any other dirt. Okay, that particular part is needed to ensure that, I mean, I know even for those who do the professional car washing and all that, there are times you need to do that. Okay, but then it has to only be when you really need to do that. You may never really have seen the need to save water, but trust me, we need to. There's a lot of evaporation going on. You have no idea. Oh yeah, it may go up there another way in the rainy season. It comes right back down and all that. But still at the same time, some body of water is actually, going back. Like it keeps shifting. It's going back, and you're wondering, where is it going to? Water used to be, to this extent, but now you cannot see it that way. Even in the rainy season, you're wondering, well, all part of the climate change. The things that we're doing, it revolves and just keeps going round and round and round and round. So it is important for information to be out there for you and I to know those things that we need to abstain from, those things that we really need to be careful of. Okay, for instance, you're brushing now, and as you're brushing, the tap is still open, water is gushing out, just going. You're not using it at that particular point. Yes, when you're done brushing your teeth, which you should do for nothing less than 2 minutes. Okay, you can do it for more than 2 minutes, definitely, but then nothing less than 2 minutes. So imagine 2 minutes or more, and water is gushing out, and you're just there. So, while you're doing that, why don't you just turn it off? Turn the tap off for when you are, brushing and you're not really using the water. That will be a way of ensuring that you save this water. Okay. Now, still on, saving water and also ensuring that we have clean water. The things we also dispose of. The things we dispose of, especially when it's oily. Especially when it's oily. How do you do that? It also goes and finds its way into a larger body of water. And the mistake you and I would always make is that it's just a small oil now, it's just me now. But then there are hundreds of thousands, millions of other people doing the same thing that you're doing. Let's even just focus on Nigeria before we even go out to another African country and then the world over. So if everybody does that, I mean, we're all interconnected. So it just keeps going and going. You may think that this little drop of oil just from my house, it cannot, change the world. Well, it can. Sorry to disappoint you. It so can. Okay? So please, let's also be mindful of the things we dispose of, where and how we do that. Yeah, I just quickly remember something about the lawn. It's not just like this afternoon. This is not the time for you to wake up and say, oh, you want to go and water your flowers or your lawn. Please, you do that very early in the morning. Because it's drier that moment. Everywhere is still cool. You're not going to push hot water into these plants and everything. No, the entire process of the plant absorbing that water, it's not for them to absorb very, very hot water. I may not be able to give you an exact a biological, let's put it that way, explanation as to that. But I've always known that really you do that quite early in the morning before the sun begins to blast on everybody and plants, or much later in the day when the sun has come down. Yes, you do that at those times. Then it will be a lot healthier for the plants as well. Okay, so these are some of the things to do, especially about water. There are so many of them, really, but I'm just trying to pick out some of the ones that you and I can easily relate to. Those things that you and I do that sometimes we really do not think that it is such a big deal, but at the end of the day, it is. So that's that about water. A little bit about the air. Yes, the air that you and I breathe. Sometimes the paintings that we use, the paints, if you use oil-based paints, it releases hydrocarbon fumes. Don't ask me what that is, but it is definitely, some form of bad air that you and I do not want to inhale or keep inhaling, because it will be detrimental to our health. Okay, so it's better you use other types than the oil-based type of paint. Okay? Well, that goes without saying. I think over time, lately, I hardly see that particular type of painting used, especially for homes. Now, let's talk about the land. I am very much interested in this one because, what we talk about recycling, waste disposal, which is where I want you to come in to call me right now and tell me, okay, people are putting waste in this place. There's garbage here and there. It's not supposed to be here, it's not supposed to be there, but then people are dropping these things. And these are the things that block waterways at the end of the day, and we start crying to government, there is flood, come and do this, create drainages for us. Okay, government has come and government has created the drainages and all that. Drainages are meant for water, by the way, but you see many of us dump our waste products in the gutters, in the drainages, and the rains comes with like, oh, okay, now that it's raining, let's go and throw this dirt out so that the water will carry it away. It may carry it to some extent. It gets to some place and it's stuck, and it will block that particular waterway. And guess what? The water starts coming back. Oh, it comes right back. God help you, it doesn't come back to your innermost room. If only it can trace the owners of the dirt and then it comes right back into their houses, I think everybody will stop putting dirt in the gutter. Yeah? But it may not come directly that way. And in some instances, perhaps it does. Okay, but that's just how it happens. There's no two ways about it. It's not magic. It is what you do that you get the results. So if we dispose of our waste products properly, then we can, to a large extent, avoid some of these unnecessary floodings, because some of them are preventable. Yes, some of these occurrences are preventable. All right, so think about it. Are you, indiscriminately disposing your waste products? Are you putting plastic in the ground? Burying plastics are not very healthy for the the ground as well. And yet, it is what we have. A lot of it, as a matter of fact, is what we have in the environment. When we buy things, they put it in some form of nylon, leather, whatever we call it, all those things. So, what happens when you're no longer in need of these things? How do you dispose of them? Where do you drop them? Is it a place where, other people can come pick them up? And if possible, go through with them to where they can be recycled, or better still, where they would at least properly be, disposed of. So you can call me and let me know what you have seen, especially as it concerns waste disposal. Where is it that you know that people are disposing of dirt and they should not? Let's call out these places, let people know. I mean, especially for those in place of authority where they can actually do something about this. Whatever has to be done, a sign to be put there, people to be, I mean, just assume that someone will just be there undercover watching, and you just come and drop something, and then you get arrested and they ask you, okay, come and do community service for 1 week or so because you dumped something where you're not supposed to. I think that should deter people a lot from disposing of their garbage indiscriminately. So feel free, call me and share with me what you have noticed so far, what you've seen, where exactly are people disposing of these waste products, and let's talk about it. And hopefully we get these things moved out from some just naturally just block the road. You won't even see where to pass. That is not to talk about the stench that comes from, from all the kinds of things that have been buried there in the ground. So 081-89-99-1011. That is 081-89-99-1011. So all of our activities have direct consequences, direct effects on us. And we need, like I said earlier, basically three things. Yep, three things to be put in place to ensure that we get to know how to manage and protect our environment, especially as we look at sustainability, to be able to sustain the environment, because it can give up on us. The truth is, though, even though the environment, we're talking about the ground now, the components and all that, it has a way of taking care of itself, but then it may take a while. Now, in that time period where it is trying to work on itself to rejuvenate itself, what other activities are you and I carrying out in that particular time period that may or may not be healthy for the ground? All right. So think about it and call me up and let me know what those things or where those places are actually that people are dumping refuse where they should not be dumping. Okay. All right. So we'll go on a quick break at this point, though. We'll come right back and hopefully I get to talk with you, and we'll of course tell you some more of the things you and I need to stay away from so that we don't destroy the environment. Instead, we protect it for our own good. Stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. It's 1:40 p.m. and the program is Ray, that is Rights of Animals and Environmental Protection. My name is Ruth, and today we have been looking at how we can protect the environment and the things that we need to do to protect the environment. Basically, we talked about not to waste water. Oh yeah, not to waste water is one of those things, and things we can also do to avoid adversely affecting the environment, the ground. And before we went on that break, though, I did say you can call in and let's share your thoughts. If you know any environment, any street, any place at all in town, whether it's close to your house or it's far away in town where you work, or anything you know that people are indiscriminately disposing of their trash, call me and let's just mention it and talk about it. For those who may be listening, all right, let's see. Looks like I have a caller. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I just let me make my contribution.
What's your name, please?
Alhaji Abdul from Jua.
Okay, Alhaji Abdul, I'm listening to you.
Yeah, you see, this dumping of rubbish everywhere has become a habit of Nigerians. And, sometimes Nigeria, if we don't impose law on them, they will not be abide by the law of the nation. If you can recall back during the military era of Ali and Tunde Idiabu, where they put war against industry. At that time, anywhere you want to drop rubbish, you will look back, look front. If there is nobody around you, even if you want to peace, you know where to peace. But now it has become a habit of Nigerians. So I think government have to put eye on this and impose law that anybody caught doing that, he should be punished for that. And in sometime in the bottles or KKNFN, there have to be a basket where even if you take free water, you put the rubbish there.
True.
I think it will be better that way, because you see, when you come to some of the satellite towns, you see some people dropping rubbish in the gutter. And it blocks the gutter. If bad rainfall, it brings flood. So definitely it's a bad habit, and it needs to be corrected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, he's also agreeing with me that, hey, that legislation, there has to be some kind of law about that. Really, if we can bring that back, I think a lot of us will be better for it. Hello?
Hello, Ramadu. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
This is your friend, Abubakar from Asoko.
Abubakar, how are you this Sunday afternoon?
I'm fine.
Well, good to hear from you.
How is work?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. So let me make my own small little contribution.
Okay, I'm with you.
As the first caller said,
yes,
our Nigerians, we have that habit of dumping refuse anywhere, anyhow. Now, if you go to Maraba, you will see the dump refuse by the roadside. If you went to this nearby village, that one an apology. And you know, when we have outbreak of disease, sometimes it's from rural area to the cities, sometimes from the cities to the rural area. If you enter Durumi now, if you see the way they dump their refuse, as if there is no authority there, and Maraba agrees. So I think the authorities should do something about it. Very, very urgent, because the rainy season is approaching now.
Okay.
Hello?
Abubakar, yes, I heard you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're seeing all of these places. We know these places. Please let us continue to talk about it. Hopefully, government is definitely listening to us. Hopefully, we'll get to enact some laws that would. I mean, I know that it's not entirely the absence of such, laws, especially in the city center. You find that there is, this very organized way of bringing out your refuse from the house. You put them, in in the can outside, and then the big truck comes, it carries it, and takes it away and all that. But what happens in those areas where you don't have such system working? How can you and I be responsible citizens by ensuring that even while we're walking on the road, we don't just throw things away, or you are on a public transportation and you're eating something and you drop it as you're going down from the car, and or you just come out of the car and you drop it on the ground wherever. And then some people would step on banana peel and they have a really bad fall. It's always unfortunate. Those who drop it are not the ones that directly step on it. If only they are the ones that also step on it, then I'm sure it will deter them from doing that. So think about it. Are you part of those people who are just throwing things everywhere? From the car, you wind down your window and you throw things out, or you're walking, trekking on the road and you do that, or you collect everything that needs to be destroyed in your house and you come out and you drop it in the nearest gutter because nobody's watching, or because everybody's watching but nobody cares because everybody's doing that. Does it make it right? No, is the answer. And we're not just talking about this because we want to avoid floods or anything like that. No, outside of that, it has a way of damaging the ground itself. And we rely on the ground for survival, at least 95%, talking about food that comes from the ground. So if based on our activities, we are destroying this ground, we keep doing it, we keep on doing it, day in, day out, weeks, months, years, well, the environment, undergoes this period of degradation that may never be reversible. Before it could actually be undone, it may have to take several generations. By then, you and I are so gone, and even those after us are also gone and gone and gone. But then it would never really get there if those generations, as they are coming, they are also continuing in the same line with us. And that's how we need this mind change, the change of our mindset right now. Let's educate ourselves on proper waste disposal. Let's educate ourselves on proper activities, proper ways to do things that we need to do. I mean, no one is saying you don't need to water your lawn, you don't need to water your flowers. No one is saying you don't need to wash your car. No one is saying you don't need to dispose of things you don't need anymore, whether includes or involves some form of oil or some cans or plastic, or all these things that we use, that we legitimately need to use, but then after usage, what happens to the part that we don't need? Let us know how to dispose of these things. Let government, yes, come into play and ensure that for whatever type of waste it is that we have, those that are to be recycled should go in that way and be recycled. Others, let's allow professionals to handle those types of waste so that we just don't throw things in the river. You have this small stream close to your river and you think, I'll just be dumping it there. It will keep going. There's this particular small stream, in one of the satellite towns here. You just pass by there, all you see is plastic on top. This one, it didn't even go inside. It could not, I don't know, maybe it's so filled up. You just see it on top. Everything is on top, all colors. You just see it really is colorful, but it's not good. It's very colorful. You see all kinds of plastics, and it's all floating on that water there. That's not good. These things are affecting, even the animals. Well, talking about fish, basically, that we usually get from the bigger body of waters and all that. It affects them. Some of them eat it, and well, it's not really food. They cannot digest it and all that. It kills them. And then you go fishing and like, there's no fish. Your fish has run away from Nigeria. It's part of the things that we do that, we use our own hands to reduce the complete benefit that we can get from our immediate environment. So let's know what to do, when to do, how to do it, and ensure that we have clean air around us. Let us not be responsible for why we have polluted air around our houses. Remember last week we talked about proper ventilation in the house. in the homes, yes, where you spend a lot of time as well, just like you would at work. What's the quality of air that you inhale in and out in the house or at the workplace? Let's ensure that our activities does not in any way cause harm to us. Okay. Water too, it is very important. Whatever kind of source of water it is, wherever you get your water, ensure that it is clean in any way possible and do not waste it. For instance, some people in like in your toilets, yes, this is something else. In the toilet, you also need to be sure that the tank is not leaking, that there is no leakage at all. Now, here's a trick. If you really want to find that out, you cannot tell for sure if your tank perhaps in the toilet is leaking. What you need to do is put maybe food color or any other coloring in the water tank and see if it comes out, in the bowl. That's what we call the WC, yeah? If you see that coloring in the bowl, even without you flushing, then you know that it is leaking. And so find a way to do something about it. For some, it is very obvious. You just open you just see the water, coming down. You're not flushing, but then water is coming down. Maybe, of course, it's not, coming with a lot of current, but then you will just be seeing it. And many of us will just ignore it. I personally have never seen it to be a major problem. I didn't see it as a way of wasting water, because as long as it's not pouring on the floor, I feel like, hey, it's not a big deal. But as I was carrying out the research for this particular topic, I realized that, hey, it is true. It's going down. You're not using it. You're not flushing anything. It's not supposed to be like that. It should only come out. Water should come out for when you need it, and the amount. And even for those who are using washing machine, yeah, using the washing machine, the size of your washing machine and all that, however number of gallons of water that it uses to wash a particular amount of clothes, you do know. So if you need to wash maybe fewer amount of clothes, you can put the water according to the quantity of what you're washing, and not say, oh, it takes 40 gallons, it has to be 40 gallons. Let's conserve some water. Okay, let's save some water. There's so many other interesting ways that people have come up with to save water. I would have loved to share that, but a particular one with you, but we'll do it another time, maybe in a different setting. But for right now, though, these are some of the things we can do. Okay, so that even when you're washing, I know many of us like to wash, if we don't have the dishwasher, you like to wash under running water by the sink. Well, trust me, that amounts to another wastage of water. Because it's somehow nice though when you're washing and there's this clean water coming up. But you could save the water, especially if you have a sink that's got two different compartments. Just save some water in it. Wash here, rinse here, and you're done. So let's just take and make conscious efforts in all of our activities, from the air around us, from the water around us, and then the ground, the land itself that we walk on. Yes, and yet we survive on it because we get a lot of food from it. So what do I do? What do you do that will, at the end of the day, result to some damage on the ground or our immediate environment? Let's be very careful of that and ensure that our environment is as healthy, because when we have a clear and healthy environment, it means that we ourselves as individuals are in that condition, because we can only give what we have. We can't give what we don't have. So if you have decided that your mindset be pure in every of your activities, you just try to do the right thing, that would just positively affect the environment as well. Okay? And that's it on Ray for today, the 25th of February 2018. Many thanks for listening, and for those who also called in to share their thoughts. And remember, please, let's not dump things anywhere, anyhow, please. Let's be careful about that. We don't want the floods. We don't want to be reading news about flood killing here and there, people losing their houses and, property here and there. Some of these things that are avoidable, let us put hands together and ensure that we avoid them. Okay? Well, stay with us on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. My name is Ruth Usman.